I never imagined that one act of betrayal could completely alter the course of my life. My name is Edgar, and I once lived in a world filled with gentle trust and quiet happiness. For more than 12 years, I shared my life with Lara, a woman whose every smile spun dreams of forever into our life together. Yet, behind the calm of our everyday moments, hidden secrets grew, and one devastating truth unraveled everything I thought I knew. After that betrayal, I set out on a painful journey of grief, self-reflection, and eventually change, a journey that took me far away from the ruins of a lost love. Before the storm hit, life felt like a soft melody. I would start my mornings in the gentle light of dawn while I made coffee in our favorite chipped mug, a keepsake from a spontaneous trip we once took. Evenings were filled with laughter and quiet talks about dreams we had yet to chase. I remembered how the warm, golden light would spill through the window as Lara softly sang along to an old favorite, a song that once promised endless hope. Still, in the small corners of our life, tiny cracks began to show. There were times when I noticed her gaze lingering on her phone, moments when a secret smile would briefly appear on her face for reasons I couldn't understand. I brushed these off as minor quirks, harmless habits in a life otherwise devoted to shared joy. I never guessed that these small moments were signs of a disaster waiting to happen. Then, on one bitter winter morning, I woke up to find an envelope lying on the coffee table, a neatly folded letter containing photographs, messages, and little tokens of intimacy I was not meant to see. In those photos, I saw captured moments of laughter, hidden embraces, and tender interactions with a man named Marcos, a man whose presence in Lara's life felt as strange to me as the sour taste of betrayal that now filled my heart. The revelation hit me like a fierce storm. I spent that morning in shock, every memory, every quiet whisper and secret promise, weighed down by the harsh truth before me. I remember the bitter irony of driving without direction through rain-soaked streets as the city's neon lights blurred past like ignored signs on a broken path. My once familiar world had turned into a maze of shadows and regret. At work, the once cheerful hum of daily life faded away, replaced by a storm of memories and accusations. The friendly chatter of colleagues, which had once been a comforting backdrop, now reminded me sharply of everything I had lost. I found myself trapped by thoughts of every tiny detail, the moments when Lara's eyes wandered, the unexplained absences, and the long silences after our talks. Every memory was a painful reminder of broken trust, each tick of the clock echoing my unraveling spirit. That evening, the confrontation became unavoidable. I waited in our dimly lit living room, the silence heavy with unanswered questions and sorrow. When Lara returned, her eyes showed the weight of guilt and a silent plea for forgiveness. "Edgar," she started, her voice quivering as if caught in an endless winter, "I never wanted you to see this." Her words felt like a weak bridge over a widening gap of hurt. I demanded an explanation, a reason for our broken promises, but all I got were vague whispers of loneliness and a desperate search for herself beyond our shared life. Her explanation, as empty as the silence that followed, only deepened my pain. The home I once knew turned into a tomb of shattered dreams, with every room haunted by memories that now burned with betrayal. In that harsh moment, the future I had so carefully planned fell apart, leaving a void that threatened to swallow every hope I once held. In the days that followed, I sank into a whirlpool of isolation and despair. My apartment, which had been a comforting retreat, turned into a place filled with ghosts, each item a stark reminder of what was lost. I stopped answering phone calls and skipped planned outings with friends. The faces of those I cared about became blurry figures in a fog of sadness, and I found comfort only in the cold, unyielding pages of my journal. Every night, as darkness took over the remaining light, I turned my thoughts inward. I started questioning every choice. Had I been too trusting, too naive? Was there something wrong with me that had invited this pain? Each question echoed like a mournful song in the stillness of my room, each answer as fleeting as the wind. I went over old letters and photographs, trying hard to piece together the broken puzzle of our love, only to see that every memory was stained with the bitter mark of betrayal. In the middle of this inner storm, my phone rang one cold evening, a lifeline in the form of my friend Darius, whose steady presence had helped me through many hard times. "Edgar," he said with calm resolve, "sometimes we must feel the deepest wounds to find our inner strength. I know it hurts, but you have the power to heal. Give yourself the chance to rebuild." His simple words lit a small spark of determination inside me, a fragile hope that maybe the way forward was not in clinging to the past but in creating a new self from its remains. One sleepless night, as rain gently tapped on the window, I began to turn my sorrow into words. My journal became a place of confession, a safe space where I could share the storm of my heart without judgment. I wrote quickly about the pain of each betrayal, the cold emptiness following every memory, and the deep longing for answers that might never come. My pages filled with raw honesty, a reflection of a man torn apart by love's treachery. As days turned into weeks, I began to see two sides of my life. I realized that in the midst of deep despair, there was a chance for new beginnings. Writing down my pain turned into a kind of magic, a way to change suffering into a testament of strength. Every word on the page was both a reminder of a deep wound and a step toward healing, proving that even the most broken soul could speak in the silence of its pain. Through this inner dialogue, I started to accept the truth, that the betrayal was not just a stroke of bad luck but a force that pushed me to reconsider who I truly was. I looked back at old happy memories that once defined us, and slowly, I saw that the pain was mixed with the beauty of our shared past. The love we once had was not completely lost, it had changed into something raw and honest, a bittersweet sign of life's ever-changing nature. As winter began to ease its grip on the world, I stepped out one clear morning, still hesitant to face life after my heartbreak. I walked into a small, inviting cafe filled with the smell of fresh coffee and the soft murmur of conversation, a stark contrast to the silence of my empty home. There, in that warm and bright place, I met Selena. Selena was a unique presence, a gentle soul with eyes that seemed to carry deep wisdom and a smile that shone with quiet kindness. She often visited the cafe with a well-loved novel and a notebook, jotting down thoughts that were both gentle and meaningful. Our meeting was accidental, a chance encounter of two people both hurt by loss. When she softly said, "You carry a sorrow that is both deep and poetic," I felt an unexpected bond. Here was someone who saw past my despair and recognized the beauty in my broken heart. At first, our conversation was careful, sharing small truths and quiet moments. Over time, however, Selena became a steady light, a guide helping me navigate through the darkness. During our long walks along tree-lined streets and quiet chats in hidden corners of the city, she showed me that pain, when faced and accepted, could be the start of a new self. "Every scar," she said one day while we sat on a park bench under the warm glow of the setting sun, "tells a story of survival. Don't hide your scars, let them remind you that you have lived, and that you can love again." Selena's words soothed my wounded heart. With her, I found not only comfort but also a new sense of purpose. She never pushed me to forget the past or the betrayal, but gently encouraged me to see it as a part of the complex picture of my life. With her support, I started to understand that the future was not an empty page, but a canvas ready for the new experiences that lay ahead. Fueled by Selena's encouragement, I decided to leave behind the familiar corners of my city. I set out on a journey, a lone expedition across rugged and stunning landscapes, in search of a deeper understanding of who I was and the vast world beyond my past. I visited charming villages tucked into rolling hills, where time seemed to slow down and every encounter whispered old secrets. In a secluded coastal town, I spent long hours by the sea, watching the unending tides crash against time-worn cliffs. The ocean, with its endless stretch and steady rhythm, became a symbol of my own journey, a constant cycle of loss and renewal. Every sunset reminded me that despite the darkness, a new day would eventually bring light to guide my way. In these faraway places, I met strangers whose lives also bore the marks of hardship. A weather-beaten fisherman told stories of storms that had tested his resolve, while an older woman shared how love and loss had intertwined to form her resilient spirit. Their tales, filled with strength and quiet endurance, mirrored my struggles and gradually gave me the courage to accept change. I came to see that although my heart had been shattered, it was also capable of endless healing, a truth reflected in the ceaseless motion of the ocean and the steady glow of a distant lighthouse. As my journey continued, I eventually found myself back in the city that once was the center of my world, a place now filled with both harsh memories and a soft hint of new beginnings. The familiar streets, bathed in the gentle light of early spring, welcomed me like old friends eager to share their stories. I walked along the same paths that Lara and I once traveled, with every corner silently witnessing both our happy times and our downfall. In a quiet park where we had once enjoyed picnics under ancient trees, I sat for hours reflecting on how time had changed everything. I remembered the laughter, the dreams we shared, and the gradual breakdown of trust that led to the betrayal. With Selina's steady support, even when she was far away, I learned to face these memories with a fresh perspective. I understood that even though the past was painful, it had helped shape me into the man I was becoming, someone who had loved deeply, suffered greatly, yet still held on to hope. I returned to old haunts and even exchanged a few words with former acquaintances, each meeting a reminder that life had moved on despite my sorrow. The echoes of my past mingled with the present in a delicate dance, a dance of forgiveness, acceptance, and the gentle promise of renewal. Back home, I focused on rebuilding not only the pieces of my identity but also the creative spark that had long been asleep. I returned to writing with a passion born out of necessity. My journal filled with reflections on betrayal and my journey toward understanding myself. I started crafting stories that intertwined the raw fragments of my experiences into tapestries of strength and hope. Every story, poem, or essay marked a step in reclaiming my own narrative, a declaration that though I had been broken, I was not beaten. Through the creative process, I discovered a sacred space where pain could change into art, where every line I wrote carried both the weight of my sorrow and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. My work soon caught the eye of a small group of local writers and artists, a community that saw the beauty in vulnerability. They welcomed me warmly and encouraged me to share my journey with others who had experienced heartache. In that supportive group, I learned a powerful lesson, that by showing our wounds, we also reveal the strength hidden within. Over time, my bond with Selina deepened from friendship into a gentle, affirming love, a love that did not require erasing the past but instead celebrated the growth it had inspired. Together, we explored art galleries, went to intimate concerts, and spent quiet evenings talking about life's mysteries. Her presence reminded me constantly that even after deep pain, the heart could learn to beat again. With her gentle wisdom, Selina taught me that the ability to love again wasn't a betrayal of what was lost but a tribute to the enduring strength of the human spirit. As the seasons changed from the cool days of autumn to the crisp renewal of spring, I began to open up, not only to new love but also to the possibility of making peace with the parts of myself I had long kept hidden. I reconnected with distant family members, rekindled old friendships, and even reached out to Lara, not to reunite, but to find closure and understanding. In a quiet meeting at a modest cafe, we talked about our shared past with a bittersweet honesty. Lara's eyes, full of regret and a quiet admission of mistakes, silently offered an apology. It was a conversation free of blame, but filled with the mutual recognition that fate had changed both of us forever. With forgiveness in my heart and the gentle support of Selina and my renewed community, I began to look toward the future with cautious optimism. I started planning small trips, weekend getaways into nature, solitary hikes that let me lose myself and then find my way among tall trees and rugged paths. These journeys, taken with quiet determination, became a search for a deeper understanding of my place in the world. I devoted long hours to creative projects, letting the act of creating serve both as a reflection of my inner self and as a window to the world. In the soft scratch of my pen and the gentle strokes of my brush, I found that beauty could arise even from the darkest moments. My art evolved into a blend of experiences, a mix of sadness and hope, loss and the promise of new beginnings. I began sharing my work at local shows and community events, where strangers found comfort in the honest expression of my creations. Now, as I stand at the edge of each new day, I see my life as a continuously unfolding tapestry, a mix of sorrow and joy, of memories that are both painful and sweet. I have learned that every heartbreak carries the seed of change, and every act of betrayal, no matter how crushing, can lead to a deeper understanding of who we are. The journey from deep despair to the gentle light of healing has been long, but it has also set me free. I continue to write, to paint, and to live with the awareness that life is both fragile and beautiful. I treasure the quiet moments of reflection as much as the happy ones, knowing that each moment is a vital thread in the fabric of my life. My past, with all its scars and echoes, no longer defines me, it guides me, informs me, and ultimately pushes me toward a brighter future. In the ongoing play of light and shadow, I have come to see that even a broken soul can become whole again. My heart now beats with a fresh purpose, echoing the endless tides of experiences that have shaped who I am. And as I look ahead, I welcome the mystery of what lies in store, confident that every ending is simply the start of a new chapter. The road to healing is not a final stop but an endless journey, a path where every step, stumble, and victory weaves together the story of our lives. I, Edgar, have learned that even the deepest betrayal can unlock a hidden strength and a greater capacity for love. The tears I shed in the quiet of night have become the source of a creativity that now defines me, and the scars of the past have blossomed into symbols of survival and rebirth. With Selena by my side and a new circle of kindred spirits guiding me, I continue to explore the vast landscape of my own heart. I remain deeply grateful for the lessons of the past, for they have shown me that even in the face of profound betrayal, the human spirit can renew itself endlessly. My story, still unfolding with every breath, is a testament to the unwavering promise of tomorrow, a promise that life, with all its twists and turns, remains a rich tapestry of hope, love, and endless possibility.